David, what I love about Garrick, you're not just randomly showcasing a skill set of craftsmanship and handmade techniques for the sake of a marketing idea that you had in mind, but when you took the responsibility of kind of helping resuscitating British watchmaking, you took some of the codes of classic British watchmaking, the frosting, the guilloche, some techniques that were forgotten, and how much, for example, the guilloche has now become a trend even within Swiss.
Everybody's doing it. Yeah,
exactly. I think you were one of the first, and going to the extent of doing it by hands. And
well, I think we've innovated on numerous things. We were the first to do the skeletonized heat blue chapter ring, which has been copied since, but we did that years ago. There's a lot of things we were doing that were extremely difficult, but we've got this thing about our aesthetic as well. I think if a watch is handmade, it should look handmade, full stop. It shouldn't look mass produced in any way, shape or form, and there's always slight imperfections, and that's what collectors tend to love. We don't confess or we don't shout that we're big on high-end finishing or anything like that, and our watches are in the right price bracket. But we've improved our techniques over the years, and all our early stuff, you might say it was quite crude. Some of the really early stuff, like the Shaftesbury and the Hoxton, but they're. We don't think that's anything to be embarrassed about. We were experimenting at the time.
Especially when you were starting at a price point in those days of £2,000 for a handmade watch.
Yeah, exactly.
You managed to do that, always keeping the value as the Northern Star. And
but you soon realise, though, Pietro, when you're doing watches in that price bracket, how ridiculous Ateliers. And I remember when we were doing the Norfolk with a fired enamel dial, for God's sake. Anyone will tell you who does enamel dials, you'll throw 5 away if you make 10. And we were doing that at 2,000 and some pound before we had to raise the price because we were just literally making no money. And it's a learning curve with enamel dials. It is. I remember we went to Salon QP and. Xavier from Czapek come running over and said, "Dave, I've heard you're doing enamel dials in house. You must be crazy." And I showed him one. He was like gobsmacked, and he said, "I can't believe you're doing it at that price." And but neither could I, frankly. But it's
that's been the story of your life. I can't believe I can do that.
I'm still £1 million short of being a millionaire, as I keep telling everybody. But it's not easy, and it isn't. But this is why I say certain brands don't go down that route. We decided to because it was at the time. We don't need to anymore, but at the time it was about shouting about British watchmaking. That's all that mattered to us.
And it's about, David, giving first to then get recognition, to get the respect. We see this in independent watchmaking, even in the development of the limited edition, Johnny. How many times we had this conversation? Yeah. You give first, you show love to collectors first by offering true value. And then you build, you build your growth there.
Well, we've spoke about this many times, you're right. Yeah, I agree.